The headlines tonight on Dateline Scotland. In a devastating blow to the Nationalists, recent polling suggests that despite earlier predictions, the SNP may fail to gain North Carolina, with their lead in the Tar Heel state now narrowing to within the margin of error.
No one from the Nationalist campaign was available to speak to us, but Scottish Labour's chief election strategist will be joining us to provide expert analysis.
George Osborne, Chancellor of the Exchequer and all-round toff, has been praised by the independent and highly respected Institute for Fiscal Studies after selling off beloved national assets in cash generator. Our economics correspondent Bryony Lang will have more on this later.
And following on from Ed Miliband's surge in popular support after his appearance on Russell Brand's The Trues, the Labour leader has captured the zeitgeist once again, opening himself up to a stiff round of questioning from one of the few 70s TV personalities who's not currently in jail.
It is a patient that is now terminally ill, and it needs another force from outside to cure it.
Entering into our 10th consecutive year of unbroken coverage.
This is Dateline Scotland.
Good evening. Tonight's top story. Following the 12th Ashcroft poll released today, all eyes remain fixed on the SNP. Nicola Sturgeon's party will be disappointed that the state of North Carolina appears to be slipping away, but should be buoyed by an increased lead in the Kingdom of Brunei, and the party's candidate is now 8 points ahead of Labour in the Rings of Saturn. Despite being on the back foot, Labour leader Jim Murphy remains confident about his party's chances.
Don't worry, it's all fine.
Joining me now from our Scrabster studio to discuss these polls is one of Jim Murphy's top advisors and a close personal friend of the Labour leader, Scottish Labour's chief election strategist, George Deary. Thank you for coming on, George.
Hello.
Look, let's get straight to the point, George. The polls don't look good. Would it be fair to say you're on the verge of a wipeout?
Polls are polls. The only poll that matters is, of course, on June the 4th.
May the 7th.
Well, no, that's not true. We've got 4 weeks in order to convince the Scottish voters to come back to Labour.
Look, I think we might be at cross purposes here, Mr Deary. The election's tomorrow.
No.
It is. But never mind, let's park that for a moment because things are pretty serious for your party right now. You've got lots of big-name candidates on the verge of losing their seats. I mean, this is unprecedented. Where did it all go wrong, Mr Deary?
If you're referring to Wendy Alexander in Paisley, she'll be safe.
Not even an MSP
Jack
anymore.
McConnell will romp at home in Perth, and
he's retired.
Harry Curran in Glasgow Shettleston.
That's not even a constituency. Didn't he used to play for St Johnstone? Look, never mind, but let's talk specific candidates. Take Douglas Alexander, for example, a majority of 16,000. But the polls suggest he could lose his seat to the SNP. How did things get so bad that you can't even re-elect Douglas Alexander?
Well, he's the inventor of the telephone.
No, he's the Shadow Foreign Secretary.
But he also invented the telephone.
He did not invent the telephone. You're thinking of Alexander Graham Bell. Look, let's try an easier one. There's no question that the most embarrassing thing that can happen to a party is for its leader to lose their seat. And Jim Murphy's polling doesn't look good, does it?
Who?
Jim Murphy, he's the leader of the Scottish Labour Party.
No, he's not.
You're telling me Jim Murphy isn't the leader? Right, okay, fine. Who is the leader of Scottish Labour then?
Well, you're not going to trap me into a corner with that one.
Do you not even know who your own leader
exclusive
is?
for your viewers. Of course I know who the leader of the Scottish Labour Party is.
We might be banging our head against a brick wall here, so I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us, George Deary.
May the 7th tomorrow.
You're watching Dateline Scotland. Tweet us at Dateline Scot. We don't have a website because, well, the .com bubble's burst. Get over it, people. Jack.
In a bold move to bolster the country's ailing finances, the Chancellor George Osborne has been selling off national assets in his local cash generator. Bryony Lang picks up the story where I leave off, which is here.
Voted third sexiest man in Britain 2 years running by the readers of Smash Hits magazine and credited with single-handedly saving the UK's economy, Chancellor George Osborne is, and I don't feel I'm overstating things here, Christ reborn. It was in a cash generator shop, much like this one, that the latest chapter in the Book of George was written. I've spent some this afternoon finding out exactly what it is a shop like this does. Let me break it down for you. A working class person brings stuff to the boutique in exchange for cash money. Not as much as they get on eBay, in fact quite a lot less, but they're often in a hurry. For example, in exchange for my dead grandmother's bracelet, I got this DVD of Ross Kemp's Extreme World. Famously, George Osborne tried to sell Brighton to a branch of Cash Generator back in 2013, but they wouldn't accept it as it was a bit scratched. This week though, Osborne successfully traded in the Stone of Destiny, and relevant nationalist prop, in exchange for a couple of Blu-rays and a new phone for his sister. The decision proved popular, and Osborne has announced plans to sell off more national assets, such as Ed Miliband's bike, Ed Miliband's car, and Wales. In the meantime, there's a mini-disc player in there I've got my eye on, and I've still got my mother's engagement ring and some fillings I can sell. So, this is Bryony Lang for Dateline Scotland, in an inner city slum.
You know, I don't take this from you or anyone. Well, you know what? We'll start our own news network.
We'll do it online. All media's dying anyway, my friend. And finally, with the election day looming ever closer, it seems that the party leaders will stop at nothing to get their voices heard and their message out there. But some critics have said that Ed Miliband may have gone too far this time.
Remember one thing about the banker. He likes his fun as well. He likes the adrenaline rush. The two of you may be chalk and cheese, but you both like a buzz.
That's odd, because normally everything he touches turns to gold.
He's got the Midas touch when it comes to pop culture, that's for sure.
The Miliband touch.
That's good.
That just leaves us with enough time to take a quick look at tomorrow's headlines.
The Sun, outrage at BBC Scotland, revelations as Murphy revealed to be subletting the newsroom.
Is he doing that there as well?
Yeah, again.
The Daily Record, Lib Dems announced last-minute pledge not to increase tuition fees, and apparently Nick Clegg signed a thing.
So it makes it legally binding,
yep,
yes.
He can't go back on that.
Yep. The National, this is quite a coup, have scooped a column from none other than Leslie Riddick.
Is that George Canavan?
They've got all of them.
How did they man every...
It's dollars, it's dollars.
And finally in the Scottish Daily Mail... Why? What's going to happen?
Something terrible will happen.
Do we turn into assholes?
No, it's your kid. It's your kid.